Same-day repair. With their insurance, it was no cost to them.
All right. We're live. What's up, Paintball? This is a dark session. Don't worry. I'm gonna have more sessions where it's there. It's just gonna give y'all some things to look at. You dig? Um, I wonder if you just like there should be effects and stuff we should do. So I could be able to do effects, I guess. Nah, that's okay. I'm not really about that. You know, I'm trying to get you guys some watch. Oh, somebody was watching. So just give me 2 seconds, and we're gonna start the broadcast in a minute. We're gonna start the broadcast in a minute. All right. Make sure I got everything I need here. My little screen thing popping off. Okay. For right now, until anything happens, I'm gonna keep you guys posted. Oh, what's going on, Chop? Hold on. We are going to. So what? Sorry, I'm being nosy. That's all right. Yeah, you guys see my commercial I made. It's dope. It's dope. So another blackout session. I am right now, but I'm watching fuck is this called? Fox. I'm trying to get.
It's an excellent question. As a partnership for better health, we've really seen that
To
there
see
are
what's
several
going
things.
on.
One is keeping people who have had mental health issues connected to their service providers, whether that's virtually or safely in person.
Listen to this
And
crap.
all the new stressors of whether it's folks who are overworked because they're essential workers, the depression and grief that happens from
Got that. I hope y'all got that thunder and light.
illness, or just the social isolation, or for families, everyone being in a house together and trying to make that work. A lot of new stresses right now.
What about people who rely on mental health care? I think specifically of folks who have either depression or anxiety or bipolar, real true mental health problems that require continuing treatment. Has that been able to continue through the coronavirus?
We've seen our mental health providers step up in incredible ways with a doubling almost of virtual telehealth services. So using that technology to connect with people where they are. But we also know that people really do need to see someone in person, and that high touch and that face to face. So our organization has been funding, the PPE, the protective gear, and disinfectant, and all of that to local nonprofits, so that people can still also see someone in person. And we have providers like Fidencia and Diacon and our community health centers that are stepping up to offer those kinds of services.
As so many of us have had Groundhog Day turn into Groundhog Week or Groundhog Month from March until now. Where is the line of asking for help?
Yo.
Go
ahead to the store.
Way too many ding dongs.
I like the blackout session.
Hey, I really need to talk
Where
to somebody
we got more things to come up.
Well,
Ain't nobody really
coming in right now. I got some things. But what?
2, 3, 4 days. Reach out to a friend, a personal contact, say, hey, I'm not doing so well. Can I talk with you? That kind of outreach is important. But for someone who's having more serious symptoms, at risk of potentially harming themselves, extreme depression, difficulty getting up and going through a normal day, it's time to reach out to a doctor, emergency center, call 911 or the national hotline, 1-800-662-HELP. It really is time to reach out.
And we have the hotline number up there on the screen right now, as well as your website for betterhealthpa.org. And Becca, a big thank you to you and all the folks who work with you to keep people safe during this time. It's an important mission. Thank you. Have a great day.
Pleasure to be with you, Leland. Thank you.
All right, so that does it for me right now, but through the magic of television, Justin Turner will be back after the break with Mr. Sunday himself.
I will. And watching that segment made me think again, Leland, brace yourself, that I actually miss seeing you and our entire team and the crew in person.
Don't let it go to my head, but we miss you as well. And important to keep in mind that better times are ahead. Get out and enjoy the rest of your Sunday, and we'll see you next weekend. Take care.
Liberty Mutual customizes your car insurance, so you only pay for what you need.
I wish I could shake your hand.
Granted. Only pay for what you need. Liberty.
If you suffer from muscle cramps in your legs and feet, TheraWorks Relief can help. With daily application, this fast-acting foam is clinically proven to prevent muscle cramps before they start.
Get TheraWorks Relief today. Available in stores everywhere.
Chances are you have a few home projects on your list. Whether it's something to fix now or fix up down the road, count on Home Advisor to find the best plumbers, electricians, handymen, and more to get the job done right. And with the Home Advisor app, it's never been easier to schedule, check prices, and pay for your home projects in seconds. That fix you've been putting off? Done. The project that will make your dream home even dreamier, mission accomplished. So get the Home Advisor app and we'll do everything to fix your everything.
Today, your information is more exposed than ever. When you shop, bank, or browse online, you're vulnerable to cyber criminals. More threats demand more protection. That's why Norton and LifeLock are now one, combining device security, VPN for online privacy, and LifeLock identity theft protection, backed by $1 million protection package. Get all-in-one protection on Norton.com.
If you struggle to lose weight, you might think you were born with a slow metabolism. That's exactly what these people thought. But the truth is, a slow metabolism can be created by a condition called insulin resistance. Once you have insulin resistance, fat becomes trapped inside your body and becomes very difficult to lose weight, even if you crash diet. But now there's a solution to insulin resistance. It's a completely new way to lose weight called GOLO. GOLO works to reverse the effect of insulin resistance, increase metabolic efficiency, and target stubborn belly fat. Join over 500,000 people who have found a smarter way to lose weight and get healthier without starvation dieting. GOLO allows you to step off the yo-yo dieting merry-go-round and obtain lasting results just like these people have.
I lost 75 pounds with GOLO.
Head to GOLO.com now. That's GOLO.com. Go lose weight. Go look great. Go love life at GOLO.com.
One of my favorite supplements is Cunol Turmeric. Turmeric helps with healthy joints and inflammation support. Unlike regular turmeric supplements, Cunol's superior absorption helps me get the full benefits of turmeric. Cunol is the turmeric brand I trust.
So through Ancestry, I discovered my great Aunt Ruth signed up as a nursing cadet for World War II, and she was only 7. World War II. Their stories live on at Ancestry.
I'm Chris Wallace. Coronavirus cases surge across the country, reflecting a dangerous new phase of the pandemic.
What we're dealing with right now is community spread. The people who are getting infected do not know they're infected. They're not symptomatic.
As the virus spikes in Sunbelt states, Texas and Florida close bars and restrict restaurant dining to stop the surge. We'll discuss the move to scale back or pause reopenings with former CDC Director Tom Frieden. Then, growing calls to remove statues and monuments that many say celebrate racial injustice.
If this country doesn't give us what we want, then we will burn down this system and replace it.
We'll talk with Hawk Newsom, a leader of the Black Lives Matter movement, about the protests nationwide, and get reaction from Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, who says it's time to move controversial statues to museums. Plus, new polls show Joe Biden pulling away from Donald Trump in battleground states. We'll ask our Sunday panel what to make of Biden's big lead 4 months from Election Day. All right now on Fox News Sunday. And hello again from Fox News in Washington. There are new calls this weekend for Americans to embrace social distancing as coronavirus cases surge across the South and West. The virus now blamed for 125,000 deaths and more than 2 million infections. And the White House Coronavirus Task Force, which until Friday had not held a briefing in 2 months, now says it's considering a new testing strategy. In a moment, we'll talk with former CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden. But first, let's bring in David Spunt at the White House with the latest on efforts to contain the pandemic. David.
Chris, the president insists he has this pandemic under control despite the rising number of cases. Vice President Mike Pence has canceled upcoming campaign events this week because of those rising numbers. As infections continue to climb, parts of the southern United States are beginning to close once again. Wear a mask. This is the single most important thing that you can do to slow the spread of COVID-19. Beaches in Miami-Dade County will be closed for the 4th of July weekend as Florida COVID-19 cases rose by 9,500 yesterday, the largest daily increase since the virus came to the United States. Arizona numbers are also surging.
It's going the wrong way, and we're very close to overwhelming our hospitals in terms of the number of beds.
In Texas, another hotspot, the governor is ordering bar owners to once again turn off the lights. The governors of New York, Connecticut, and New Jersey are requiring anyone traveling from those hotspots to quarantine for 14 days. On Friday, the White House Coronavirus Task Force held a news conference for the first time in 2 months, where the doctors on stage had a stern warning for restless Americans.
We are all in it together, and the only way we're going to end it is by ending it together.
This, as new video released by the Washington Post, shows employees inside the Tulsa arena last week removing thousands of stickers placed by the arena management to establish social distance ahead of the president's first rally in months. A campaign official insists that the campaign was in compliance with local guidelines, and everyone who attended that rally, Chris, was provided with face masks and hand sanitizer. Chris.
David Spunt reporting from the White House. David, thank you. And joining us now, former CDC Director Dr. Tom Frieden. Doctor, I want to start with the spread of the virus these past 2 weeks. There was on Friday more than 45,000 new cases, a new single-day high for our country. And 13 states set record highs for their 7-day average of new cases. But Vice President Pence said this.
We have made truly remarkable progress in moving our nation forward. We've all seen the encouraging news as we open up America again.
Doctor, are we making truly remarkable progress, and is that the right message to be sending to the nation at this moment?
Well, there's no doubt we're doing more testing. Our hospitals are better prepared, but there's also no doubt that the virus has the upper hand. This virus is not going to go away on its own. We have to stop it, and only we can do that by working together. We're all sick and tired of staying home, but you know what? The virus is not tired of making us sick. And what we're seeing, particularly in southern states, but in most parts of the US, is the virus increasing, and in some states, increasing explosively.
Let me drill down on that. How do you explain the new surge in cases, especially in the South and the West? Did some states in those regions, did they open up too soon, reopen too soon, and without enough restrictions?
Well, Chris, as I said to you 6 weeks ago today, this is going to backfire. We're moving too fast. If you open when cases are still increasing, as many states did, it's like leaning into a left hook. You're going to get hit hard, and that's what's happening. When we see Arizona, Texas, Florida, South Carolina, they're currently in a rapid upswing, and sad to say, this is going to continue to get worse for weeks because the physical distancing that they're implementing now will only take effect. You don't see it for another few weeks. So we're going to see a few more weeks of increases in all likelihood in several states. Now, there's some comfort in the fact that it's younger people, but what starts in the young doesn't stay in the young. Younger people have parents, uncles, nephews. They go out to places to buy food, and we're going to see increasing spread. That's why the 3 W's are so important. Wear a mask, wash your hands or use sanitizer, and watch your distance. There's something everyone can do. We are really all in this together, and if we work together, we can help control the virus and get our economy back. Public health and health issues are not getting in the way of our recovery. They are the route to our recovery.
Doctor, one of the arguments you hear is that the reason we're seeing a surge in new cases is because we're seeing a surge in more testing. Here's President Trump on that this week.
We have more cases because we do the greatest testing. If we didn't do testing, we'd have no cases.
Is this surge a function of more testing, or is it a reflection of the fact that the virus is actually spreading?
As a doctor, a scientist, an epidemiologist, I can tell you with 100% certainty that in most states where you're seeing an increase, it is a real increase. It is not more tests, it is more spread of the virus. And the one number to look at that's very important is the percent of tests that's positive. The number of cases, that can vary some because we're only diagnosing 10, 20% of all cases. So the numbers you're seeing are just a reflection, a tip of the iceberg of even more spread. But where the numbers are increasing, you've got Arizona with nearly 1 out of 4 tests positive, and at the same time you're increasing the number of tests. I can tell you with absolute certainty that's explosive spread of coronavirus.
While we're seeing the number of cases explode, up 65% in the last 2 weeks, we're seeing the number of deaths actually drop 27%. How do you explain that?
There are a few things going on. First off, deaths will lag cases by about a month. It takes some time for someone to feel sick, get hospitalized, and unfortunately die. Second, the cases do appear to be in younger people now, and the death rate is far, far, far lower in younger people than older. But as I said earlier, what starts in young adults doesn't stay in young adults. So there may be a lag until we see cases. It's possible that older people are shielding themselves more. And we're also getting better at caring for the disease in hospitals. So the explosive spread isn't being followed yet by an explosive increase in deaths. But what we are seeing in some states already is a big increase in intensive care unit admissions. And that's a sign that this is not benign. This is going to result in more deaths. We estimate in the next month we'll see at least 15,000 more deaths in the U.S.
Meanwhile, this has all become even more of a political issue, as everything seems to be in this country. 76% of Democrats say that they wear a mask all or most of the time, as compared to 53% of Republicans. And this week, 3,000 young supporters of the president packed a church in Arizona, as you can see on the screen here, almost none of them wearing masks. Here is Vice President Pence.
The
freedom of speech and the right to peaceably assemble is enshrined in the Constitution of the United States. And even in a health crisis, the American people don't forfeit our constitutional rights.
I'm asking you this as the former head of the CDC, one of the leading public health experts in the country. As a matter of public health, not a matter of constitutional law, what do you think when you see hundreds, thousands of people close together indoors, not wearing masks?
The science is clear. More people with less ventilation indoors with a high rate of coronavirus not wearing masks, that is a formula for explosive spread of the virus.
Finally, President Trump continues to say that we're going to see a vaccine, his words, very soon, perhaps before the end of the year. What is the likelihood of that? Give us a reality check on when we can really begin to think about a vaccine.
Although we're seeing really encouraging progress, there's now evidence that people do get immunity. It may be protective. There are more than 100 vaccine candidates being evaluated. Some of them are looking good in some preliminary studies. It's really hard to develop a vaccine because you have to make sure it's safe. There's already too much suspicion about vaccines. We can't cut any corners. We have to make sure it's safe, it's effective, figure out the right dose, decide who's going to get it first, develop it, manufacture large quantities, get it out there, set up systems to track for bad reactions. This is not a quick fix. It's really important to do. It's the single most important thing we can do to fight coronavirus, and that's why it's so important. We have to do it carefully. Can't cut any corners. May have it next year, but what having it means a little different. It means that people are going to start to have availability for healthcare workers, for example, but we have to make sure it's safe and effective before we put it into people's arms.
Dr. Frieden, thank you. Thanks for your time. Always good to talk with you, sir. Up next, the growing debate over how our nation should deal with race, both current problems and past symbols. We'll get two very different perspectives when we come right back.
When it comes to buying a home, they say cash is king. But you're a queen, and that's just as powerful. You're armed with a verified approval from Rocket Mortgage. Sellers know your offer is good, so your bid has the strength to compete with cash offers. Now grab your crown and rule. That castle is yours. So when you need an edge in the bidding war, Rocket can.
Remember how we just get in our cars and drive? It didn't even matter where to. Well, it's time to reclaim the road trip. It might be a while before we'll see America from 35,000 feet, but the view from 6 feet is even better. So let's go see the world's largest ball of string and get boiled peanuts at the standoff exit 3. Come on, America. Let's road trip. And right now, it's even easier to trade up to a Kia with 0% APR for 72 months, plus up to $1,500 trade assist cash.
Fine. No one leaves the table till you're finished. Fine. We'll sleep here.
It's the easiest because it's the cheesiest. Kraft for the win-win.
I'm Ken Coleman. It's my job to make sure all the packages that go out today get delivered. There are people who can only get food from Amazon. When you come into work, that's what drives you. My little one, I would say he's definitely proud of me. Every time he sees the blue crime truck, he says, "Daddy, there's your people." I know every single one of us here, but as hard as we can go every day to make sure these packages get delivered.
Cancer won't wait. It won't wait for a convenient time or for hospitals to get back to normal again. That's why at Cancer Treatment Centers of America, we aren't waiting. We're right here, still focused on the only thing we do, providing world-class cancer care all under one roof. Because cancer isn't just what we do, it's all we do.
Right. Enough of that. Enough. Back to the mission at hand. Hope y'all enjoyed that little snippet of Fox News and Fox News Sunday and whatever they going on. Got some more stuff for y'all in a minute. I'll be right back. Just keep it locked.
Baby's skin is absorbent. Her skin can actually soak up wetness. Her diaper doesn't. That's why I use Pampers.
Pampers traps and locks wetness away, keeping baby skin drier and healthier. The health of your baby's skin starts with the Pampers they're in.
Get Castex 180 for Force Factor, the #1 fastest growing men's health brand at Walmart.
Protesters in American streets are calling for the country to address our racial tension, both current inequities and contentious symbols of America's past. But how to do that is a key question. For one perspective, let's begin with Hawk Newsom, head of Black Lives Matter, Greater New York. Mr. Newsom, you created quite a stir this week when you spoke with my colleague Martha McCallum. Let's take a look at what you said.
If this country doesn't give us what we want, then we will burn down this system and replace it. All right, and I could be speaking figuratively. I could be speaking literally. It's a matter of interpretation.
Afterward, President Trump tweeted his reaction to your statement. This is treason, sedition, insurrection. Question, sir, what do you accomplish with rhetoric like that? How do you think that helps?
Well, here's the thing. A lot of people don't understand how the street or the people feel. I have an in-depth knowledge of this. I live in the Bronx. I live amongst the people. So it's not like I'm sitting here pushing a button, or anyone can push that button. But if people keep seeing these images of their babies, of their relatives, of black people being killed, they keep dealing with financial inequality and inequity, and it reaches a point of frustration, then people lash out. This is a matter of inevitability that people will lash out because they're feeling like they're backed into a corner.
But just 2 years ago, back in 2018, you gave a TED Talk in which you preached nonviolence and talked about how during the riots in Baltimore over the death of Freddie Gray, you tried to stop the violence. I want to play a clip of you from just 2 years ago.
Do you have love in your hearts? Do you love your neighbor? Do you believe in the Bible, the Quran? Do you believe in your religious teachings? Because I guarantee you, all of them tell you to help your neighbor.
That man wouldn't have talked about working to burn down the system. What happened?
Well, what you have to understand is over time, how about this? I'm not encouraging people to go out and hurt other people. That's not what I'm promoting. What I'm talking about is systemic inequality. What I'm talking about is America treating crime as something that needs to be handled with policing instead of defunding the police and looking at crime from the perspective that it's a health crisis. The same way we looked at heroin addiction when it was only black people as tough on drugs, war on crime. And when it became white people, we looked at it as a public health crisis, as something that needs to be treated. That's the way we need to look at crime. Okay? You think about police. Over 80% of their calls are not violent felonies. Therefore, we should really look and see why police are being called. Look at the causes of why people are committing crime. They're desperate, they're poor, they're undereducated, and they are left out to dry by this American system of government. So if you want to decrease crime, you don't hire police to come in and arrest everybody and brutalize people. If you want to cure crime, then you must go to the source. You must invest
invest in people. You must give people jobs. You must make people employable. Places with the highest murder rates have the highest rates of unemployment. So let's start talking about entrepreneurship programs in our communities. Let's start talking about schools that actually meet the needs of people. That's something we could do with the $100 billion that this country spends on food.
But Mr. Newsom, let me pick up on this. We're going to have Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton on next, who's been a leader in the civil rights movement for years. She's working in Congress right now to try to pass policing legislation. She says if you want to see a statue removed, you don't tear it down, you go through the proper legal channels, whether it's Congress or the City Council. There has been a split in the civil rights movement, the African American community, for at least a half a century now, between Malcolm X and By Any Means Necessary on the one hand, and Martin Luther King and working through the system on the other. Didn't MLK get a lot more done in a practical sense?
I believe that Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was a brilliant strategist, especially in the form of media savvy. But what we have to understand is Black people do not trust politicians. They don't trust they don't trust Democrats. They don't trust Republicans. Black people also have a problem with the government overstepping its bounds. The biggest manifestation of that is policing. So if you want to make government smaller, then you address police on that scale. If you talk about the rift in the civil rights movement, our elders, a lot of them have been bought off by the Democratic establishment, right? And they pretty much go with the flow of the Democratic establishment. And what you have to understand is 50%, maybe sometimes 60% of the people out there protesting are young white people. And you want to write them off and call them Antifa or this or that. But you have corporate lawyers. You have Ivy League graduates who are out there protesting, right? Stop trying to vilify those who are out there fighting and try and understand why they're out there fighting. They're fighting because the government has failed us. The government spends too much money on failing programs. The government is beholden to corporations, right? Like, you look at Wells Fargo, and you stop me if I'm going on a tangent. You look at Wells Fargo, right, and how they paid out $1 billion in settlement for discriminatory practices, but they got bailouts from Obama and they got bailouts from Trump during COVID. You look at how this country is beholden to corporations and people feel betrayed.
Mr. Newsom, thank you.
Yes.
A lot more I'd like to talk to you about, but we have only an hour today. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. And now let's turn to Washington, D.C. Congresswoman Eleanor Holmes Norton, who I guess is kind of who Newsom was talking about, a member of the Democratic establishment, a politician. You just heard Mr. Newsom. What's your reaction?
Well, my reaction is I completely understand. I've been in the streets myself enough to understand that equation. But you're sending people like me to the Congress of the United States to do something about it. And that's what we are doing now. You've never seen, I think, a reaction, at least from Democrats in the Congress, as quickly as you've seen after the George Floyd demonstrations.
Okay. I'm back, bruh. Let's find something for you guys to listen to. Right?
Actions or action precisely brought on by people like your guests who are impatient and are saying do something and do something quick, so that the
Congresswoman, excuse me, let me just break it though, because as I discussed with Mr. Newsom, there has been this split in tactics and strategy and viewpoint for more than half a century between the Malcolm X, By Any Means Necessary, and Martin Luther King. You have done things your way, working through the system, but can you understand how someone like Hawk Newsom or the tens of thousands of people in the street would say, wait a minute, you've been doing it your way, and we have the death of George Floyd and a lot more police brutalities.
all of us are not on board, the movement will not move forward in the way we need if we are not all of one accord. Ashe? So when Brother Gabe asked me to come and speak a couple of days ago, this is a medley of sorts of a couple of different things. It's called Come As You Are.
It's why we have the legislation that.
Rally up the troops because the spirit is high. We took a red eye to the blue in the sky. Smoked the volcano and inverted the earth. So that the core and the surface for the purpose of birth. Overcoming death at every turn as the city burned. Black bags are used for target practice. Took to the streets, knocked the whole world off its axis, calling all free thinkers, spiritual seekers, individuals caught in the middle as poor righteous teachers, calling all skaters, calling all haters, calling all out-of-work actors. In other words, calling all waiters. Calling all baby boom bostics, drowning in the fountain of youth, calling all colors of truth. Kept Katrina cornered on the roof, calling all MCs with no booth. Box despisers, freedom riders, bilingual, bipartisan, bisexuals, open-minded intellectuals with street smarts, astral bodies that are all art, spiritual tokens, severing shackles so fast they'll leave your chain smoking, calling it quits, calling the rift, calling a universal consciousness shift, calling a gift, sundial the presence, calling a fad that extract the act of black essence, calling taste, touch, and tight strings with keys and lightning, right? Calling the locks of the timid, the heat of the frigid, calling the mothers and fathers that are off duty, calling any and all misunderstood beauty. This is for the good and the bad. There's no such thing as ugly. Calling the missing, calling all who are listening. And I'll stop yelling just as soon as you tell me why everyone is whispering.
Ever since the
I'm taking notes on your innermost thoughts so I can read them back to God in prayer. And though I'm an imperfect intercessor, I'll go